For this episode, we're going to be talking about rock and roll icon Bob Seger.
Take a trip with me, baby, let's meander. Going through so many Great Lakes standards. See the sights, highlights of Barry Sanders. Come along with the random Michigander. Come along with the random Michigander.
All right, everyone, welcome to the Random Michigander. I am your host, Brandon Griffiths. I'll be providing a regular dose of Great Lakes state-related topics in podcast form, from history and events to locations, popular culture and sports, as well as food and drinks, and basically anything else that might help you learn more about the great U.S. state of Michigan. This podcast is available to listen to on all the major platforms by searching The Random Michigander. Click follow on the main page on your preferred service, and turn on notifications to be alerted about all the latest episodes, which I upload on Thursdays at 5 a.m. Eastern. I'm also on social media at _random_Michigander. I have pages on TikTok, Instagram, and Facebook. Today, we're not merely discussing a musician, we're embarking on a true odyssey, unraveling the life and legacy of a man whose voice, etched with grit and soul, became the soundtrack to countless lives, loves, and long, reflective drives across the American landscape, Bob Seger. And to truly feel the authentic rhythm of Bob Seger, to understand the genuine heart beating within his unforgettable songs, you must simply feel the deep, resonant pulse of Michigan. We'll begin with his earliest, almost whispered dreams in the quiet industrial suburbs of Detroit, follow him through the smoke-filled, sweat-soaked clubs of Ann Arbor and the Motor City, and then witness his slow, hard-won ascent to the grand, echoing arenas where he became not just a voice, but the voice for a generation. We'll meticulously uncover how the relentless, industrious hum of Detroit, the boundless landscape, and the steadfast, resilient spirit of the Great Lakes state didn't just influence his music, they infused every single note and every honest lyric, making him not just a rock and roll superstar, but the genuine, unvarnished poet of the working class. Bard of the everyday American dream, and without a doubt a true, forever loyal son of Michigan. Our story, like so many quintessential American tales, begins with the optimistic yet often challenging post-war boom. Robert Clark Seger was born on May 6, 1945, right in Detroit, Michigan. But his early childhood wasn't a static painting of suburban bliss. It was a series of shifting landscapes, echoing the economic tides and personal challenges of the time, a direct reflection of his parents' own struggles. His father, a talented musician himself, played in a big band, but struggled with alcoholism, eventually leaving the family when Bob was just 10 years old. This early experience of loss and instability, of a family fractured under pressure, would undoubtedly leave an indelible mark on young Bob, subtly informing the themes of yearning, resilience, and perseverance that would later permeate his songwriting. He spent some of those crucial formative years in Dearborn, a city whose very name was then and largely remains synonymous with American industry, with the roaring engines of the Ford Motor Company. You could almost hear the distant clang of the assembly lines, the pervasive smell of oil and grit hanging in the air. This early immersion in the industrial heartland, in the sheer determination and muscle that literally built the Motor City, wasn't just background scenery. It was a seed planted deep within his psyche, destined to blossom into the blue-collar poetry and empathetic narratives of his later music. But it was a vibrant, intellectually buzzing college town just west of Detroit, Ann Arbor, where young Bob truly began to find his footing, both as a boy shedding his childhood and as a budding musician consumed by sound. His family settled there after his father left, and it was in this unique environment, a place of academic rigor and burgeoning counterculture, yet still undeniably Michigan in its practicality and down-to-earth nature, that his passion for music truly ignited. He attended Tappan Middle School school and Pioneer High School, joining band after band, devouring every note, every beat he could. He was listening to the raw energy of rhythm and blues, the primal scream of early rock and roll, the thoughtful narratives of folk music. This diverse sonic diet, blended with his working class upbringing, would forge his signature sound. Ann Arbor in the 1960s wasn't just a dot on the map. It was a simmering cauldron of musical talent, a true incubator where local bands could truly live and breathe rock and roll. Imagine it, a town teeming with hungry young musicians, each one pouring their souls out in countless clubs and dimly lit bars, playing to crowds of restless college students from the University of Michigan and hardworking locals alike. This, my friends, was Bob Seger's rock and roll university. He started with formative high school bands like the Decibels and the Omens, playing school dances and local hops. Then came Doug Brown and the Omens, cutting their first regional records. But it was with Bob Seger and The Last Herd where things truly started to click, where his distinctive voice and songwriting began to take shape. They released a string of singles on local labels like Hideout Records, quickly carving out a name for themselves in the regional scene. One of these early tracks, East Side Story, released in 1966, became an immediate local anthem across Detroit. It was a gritty, driving tune infused with the raw energy of garage rock and the soulful punch of Motown. It perfectly captured the unbridled spirit of the city. It was raw, urgent, and undeniably, authentically him. It put him on the map in Michigan. This tireless gigging, this relentless honing of his craft in places like the Fifth Dimension and the Club Heidelberg in Ann Arbor, and later for bigger, more raucous shows at Detroit's legendary Grand Ballroom and Easttown Theater, built his foundation. He learned to command a stage, to connect viscerally with an audience, to tell stories that hit you right in the gut. He understood that rock and roll was about more than just notes. It was about feeling, about shared experience. By 1968, his undeniable raw talent and formidable live reputation caught the ear of Capitol Records. And just like that, the regional hero, the Michigan phenomenon, was stepping onto a national stage. His major label debut, with the newly christened Bob Seger System, arrived that same year, titled Ramblin' Gamblin' Man. The title track exploded onto the national charts, becoming a top 20 hit. It wasn't just a catchy tune, it was a defiant statement, a burst of garage rock energy infused with his distinctive, raspy vocals and an irresistible piano riff. It captured the rebellious spirit of the late 60s. But dig deeper into that album and you'll find a remarkable early glimpse into Seeger's lyrical depth and willingness to tackle weighty subjects. Take 2 plus 2 equals question mark, for instance. This was a stark, powerful, almost chilling anti-Vietnam War protest song, urgent and stark, showcasing a serious, thoughtful side that would later become a hallmark of his work. Or the bluesy lament of White Woods, a haunting tale. It was a powerful opening salvo, hinting at the versatility, the philosophical leanings, and the raw power that would define his career. The years that immediately followed this initial success were a blur of intense creative output, sometimes commercially successful, sometimes critically challenging, but always pushing Bob as an artist. The Bob Seger system continued with albums like Noah from 1969. This was a more psychedelic experimental effort, a departure from their raw sound, and it found Seger wrestling with new sounds and themes, perhaps even trying to fit into the challenging landscape of rock. It featured songs like Inner Venus and Long Song, but it didn't quite click with his fan base, and it perhaps alienated some early listeners. The band itself began to fray, and Bob later expressed regret over its direction, recognizing it wasn't true to his core. But Bob Seger is nothing if not resilient. He quickly regrouped, returning to his hard rock roots with Mongrel in 1970, a ferocious, energetic rebound. This album was a clear declaration of his intentions, a return to the raw power that audiences loved live. Think of tracks like the blistering Lucifer, an unapologetic driving rock track, or the relentless energy of Highway Child. This album felt like a punch to the gut, visceral and immediate, a necessary artistic correction after the experimental detours of Noah. After those three albums, the system disbanded. Seeger, ever the pragmatist, went solo for a bit, then formed a new, looser collective that would eventually morph into the legendary Silver Bullet Band. These were the years of truly grinding it out, perfecting his craft on the road. Albums like Brand New Day from 1971, then Smokin' OPs from 1972, which featured his scorching definitive cover of Chuck Berry's Get Out of Denver, a song that became an instant live favorite, evoking the restless energy of the open road and the yearning for escape. Smokin' OPs also contained the enduring heavy music, which was a powerful ode to the genre that fueled his soul, and the poignant, almost desperate cover of If I Were a Carpenter. These years were marked by financial struggles, by relentless touring, solidifying his reputation as a formidable regional act who packed every club and theater in the Midwest. And then came Back in 72, which was released in 1973. This album, though not a massive commercial hit at the time, is absolutely crucial to our story and Seeger's evolution. It contained the original studio version of Turn the Page, while the live version, still to come, would become the definitive, iconic anthem. Here it was in its raw, introspective studio form, already a poignant masterpiece, detailing the profound isolation and weariness of life on the road. It felt like a direct, personal confession from Seeger. The album also had other fantastic tracks like the rocking I've Been Working, showcasing his R&B roots, and Rosalie, a heartfelt, upbeat tribute to a real-life Detroit disc jockey, Rosalie Trombley, who championed his music fiercely on legendary Windsor, Detroit radio station CKLW. These weren't national chart toppers yet, but they were vital building blocks, resonating deeply within his growing regional fan base, cementing his legendary status as the king of the Midwest. He was playing constantly, tirelessly, in every corner of Michigan, from the Masonic Temple Theater in Detroit to smaller halls in Flint, Saginaw, and Grand Rapids, winning hearts, one powerful performance and one honest lyric at a time. He lived for the stage and that connection with the crowd. And then slowly, meticulously, pieces truly began to fall into place. In 1974, the Silver Bullet Band officially coalesced, forming the bedrock of his most celebrated sound. This wasn't just a revolving door of session musicians. This was a hand-picked, cohesive unit, a true creative partnership that would define the next chapter of his career. Drew Abbott on lead guitar, providing those sharp, stinging solos. Alto Reed on saxophone, whose soaring, soulful riffs became as iconic as Bob's voice itself. Chris Campbell on bass, the rock-solid foundation. Charlie Allen on drums, laying down that driving, propulsive beat. And Robin Robbins on keyboards, adding texture and melody. Their synergy, their collective talent, elevated Seeger's songs to new heights. Their first studio album together, Beautiful Loser from 1975, was pivotal. It was the calm before the storm, a warm-up for the explosion to come. It featured the soaring rock anthem Kathmandu, a propulsive, almost desperate yearning for escape. The Silver Bullet Band's first studio album together, Beautiful Loser from 1975, was pivotal. It was the calm before the storm, a warm-up for the explosion to come. It featured the soaring rock anthem Kathmandu, a propulsive, restless cry for escape that resonated with a generation feeling trapped by routine, dreaming of distant, exotic lands. It also had the introspective, deeply personal title track, Beautiful Loser, an empathetic song about those who give their all and still come up short, and the tender Jody Girl, a beautifully melancholic ballad. This album was building critical mass, showing a newfound polish while retaining the raw edge. It was the perfect prelude to the seismic event that was about to unfold. Because then, my friends, lightning struck, not once, but twice, in a glorious back to back triumph. The year is 1976. The album is Live Bullet. Recorded over two unforgettable, electrifying nights in September of 1975 at the iconic Cobo Hall in Detroit, Live Bullet wasn't just an album, it was a phenomenon, an event that shook the music world. Cobo Hall, now known as Huntington Place, was more than just a venue. For Seeger, it was hallowed ground. This colossal arena, steeped in Detroit's industrial history, the very heartbeat of the Motor City, became the spiritual cathedral for his defining moment. The air cackled with a unique energy that only a homecoming show could generate. You could feel the crowd's devotion, their almost reverent anticipation. Live Bullet perfectly captured the raw power, the emotional intensity, the sheer, unadulterated passion of a Bob Seger concert. It was an unfiltered snapshot of a band, the Silver Bullet Band, at the absolute peak of their live powers, a testament to years of tireless touring. Captured the crackle of the amps, the roar of the crowd, the sweat and soul pouring from the stage. Beyond Turn the Page, which became a nationwide anthem for the road weary, a timeless ode to loneliness and persistence, you had tracks like Travelin' Man / Beautiful Loser, a soaring medley that showcased their dynamic range and Bob's narrative prowess. The raw, bluesy energy of heavy music, a staple from his early days, blasted through the hall. Their blistering cover of Tina Turner's Nutbush City Limits, transformed into a raucous, horn-driven rock and roll spectacle, proved they could take any song and make it their own, pouring pure Michigan grit into every note, and the reflective cautionary tale of looking back. The whole album felt authentic, unvarnished, a raw nerve exposed. It resonated with millions because it was real. It spoke to everyone who'd ever felt like an outsider, everyone who'd ever chased a dream down a lonely highway, everyone who understood the grind. For a Michigan artist like Bob Seger, playing and recording a live album at Cobo Hall was more than a career move, it was a symbolic homecoming, a glorious validation of years of relentless hard work, right there in the pounding industrial heart of his home state. Live Bullet didn't just break, it exploded, declaring that Bob Seger had arrived, undeniably, triumphantly, and he was here to etch his story into rock history. He'd done it his way, on his terms, from his home. The momentum was unstoppable. Later in that same monumental year, 1976, Seger unleashed his definitive studio masterpiece, Night Moves. This album wasn't just a follow up, it was a profound artistic statement, a collection of stories that solidified his superstar status and showcased a deeper, more mature songwriter. The title track, Night Moves, became an instant classic, a shimmering, nostalgic, incredibly evocative look back at the bittersweet innocence of youthful romance and fleeting connections under a summer moon. It painted vivid pictures that transported listeners, evoking those long, languid Michigan summers, the thrill of first loves, the quiet revelations under starlit skies. Its narrative structure, its lyrical honesty, made it instantly relatable and universally beloved. But the Night Moves album was much more than its iconic title track. It was a complete, cohesive work. Think of the masterful storytelling of Main Street, a beautifully wistful ode to growing up in a small town, encountering captivating figures, and the bittersweet pang of nostalgia. For many in Michigan, it conjured images of Ann Arbor's own vibrant streets. Then there was the driving, defiant energy of Rock and Roll Never Forgets, an insistent, joyous testament to the enduring power of music itself, a declaration that the spirit of rock will live forever. And then there was the raw, primal energy of The Fire Down Below, a blues-infused track that showcased his powerful vocal delivery and the band's muscular sound, or the heartfelt, spiritual plea of Come to Papa, This album showcased Seeger's incredible lyrical maturity, his uncanny ability to craft narratives that felt universal, yet deeply, intimately personal. He wasn't just singing about life, he was capturing its very essence, making us feel every fleeting moment. From this moment on, Bob Seger was more than a star. He was a constant, a comforting, powerful, and deeply authentic presence in the ever shifting world of rock and roll. Albums like Stranger in Town from 1978, Against the Wind from 1980, and Like a Rock from 1986 crafted anthems for generations and embedded themselves into the cultural consciousness. But let's delve a little deeper into these remarkable chapters. Stranger in Town from 78 continued his hot streak, giving us the soaring, exhilarating Hollywood Nights, a song that explored the allure and disillusionment of the West Coast, contrasting sharply with his grounded Midwestern sensibilities. Then there was the reflective, world weary wisdom of Still the Same, a timeless ballad about life's unchanging truths and the paradox of identity in a changing world. Then there was the tender, romantic classic We've Got Tonight, a powerful duet with the Muscle Shoals rhythm section, a song that became a staple for countless slow dances, heartfelt declarations, and radio dedications. This album also contained the spontaneous, uncredited hit Old Time Rock and Roll, a track that wasn't even intended as a single, but became an unexpected phenomenon after its memorable inclusion in the film Risky Business with Tom Cruise. It became a defiant, joyful ode to the music that never fades, a staple of his live shows in the years that followed. There was also the bluesy grit of Till It Shines. These songs explored themes of celebrity, relationships, and the persistent search for authenticity amidst rising fame. Just 2 years later, Against the Wind arrived in 1980, and it was a masterpiece of introspection, winning 2 Grammy Awards, including Best Rock Vocal Performance for Seeger. The title track itself became a defining song for an entire generation, a wistful, almost melancholic look back at youth, missed opportunities, and the inexorable, often unforgiving march of time. It captured a universal feeling of regret, resilience, and the painful recognition of lost innocence. Then there was the incredibly catchy, radio friendly Fire Lake, a vivid lyrical painting of small town life featuring backing vocals from Glenn Frey and Don Henley, a song that captured the yearning for something more, a subtle narrative of discontentment and hope, and the beautiful yearning melody of You'll Accompany Me, an optimistic, heartfelt declaration of devotion, or the hard hitting, empowering Her Strut, a tribute to strong women. This album showcased a slightly softer, more country rock tinged side, solidifying his role as rock's reflective philosopher, singing about the quiet moments, the unspoken feelings that truly shape our lives. The 1980s saw him continue his consistent output. The Distance from 1982 brought us the chart topping Shame on the Moon, a softer, more country style ballad featuring Glenn Frey on harmony vocals, showcasing Seeger's versatility and his ability to cross genres effortlessly. And the powerful spiritual anthem Even Now, a declaration of enduring love and commitment. This album explored themes of perseverance in relationships and the strength found in connection. Then came Like a Rock in 1986, an album that produced the enduring anthem of the same name. The song Like a Rock became a cultural touchstone. Its raw power, its unwavering message of steadfastness and endurance resonated so deeply that it became the unforgettable, iconic anthem for Chevrolet trucks, a partnership that felt so incredibly natural, so authentically American. It was a perfect, undeniable synergy. The voice of Michigan's Heartland, singing about the very backbone of American industry, about resilience, dependability, and lasting strength. But the album also contained other fantastic tracks like the heartfelt ballad Miami, a longing reflection on leaving home for new adventures and the bittersweet nature of change, and the driving anthemic rock of American Storm, poignant commentary on American society, or the soulful Tightrope speaking to the precariousness of life. What is it then about Bob Seger's music that has woven itself so deeply into the fabric of our lives for so long? I believe truly it always circles back inextricably to those Michigan roots. His songs are vivid, empathetic narratives of real people, the quiet struggles and the hard won triumphs of restless longing and unwavering resilience. They speak directly to the blue collar spirit, to the dignity of honest work, the profound joy of simple pleasures, and to the enduring, hopeful power of dreams. Themes that are not only found in Michigan, but are deeply ingrained in its very soul, its history, and its people. He never forgot where he came from. Even as his fame soared to dizzying international heights, Bob Seger remained fiercely, stubbornly loyal to his home state. He chose to live in Michigan, to raise his family there, far from the relentless glare of Hollywood or the distant, glittering allure of the music industry capitals like Nashville. This deeply grounded approach, this unwavering connection to the ordinary, the authentic, only deepened the bond with his fans. He was singing about the common man, for the common man, and he was living among them. He continued to participate quietly in local events, remaining a cherished, private part of the community, never losing touch with the people and the places that shaped him. This deep connection to his home gave his music an unparalleled sincerity, a resonance that listeners could feel. Just think about the imagery that fills his songs, the endless open roads stretching across the vast landscape, the quiet hum of small towns nestled between thousands of shimmering lakes, the hushed magic of late nights spent under the stars, the grit of the city streets, and the relentless driving pursuit of something more, something authentic, something real. Not at all abstract concepts, these are vivid, lived reflections of a life experienced in and around the state, one renowned for its sprawling natural beauty, its robust industrial cities, and its incredibly resilient salt of the earth people. With his music on the radio, it serves as the very soundtrack to countless road trips across the Mitten or the UP, to bonfires on warm summer nights on the shores of the Great Lakes, to quiet, profound reflections of a life honestly and powerfully lived. As the decades rolled on, Seeger continued to record and tour, though less frequently, always preferring quality over quantity and valuing his privacy. The Fire Inside from 1991 delivered continued chart success with hits like The Earnest, The Real Love, and the contemplative Still in the Wind. After a long hiatus, he returned in 2006 with Face the Promise, showcasing his timeless songwriting with tracks like Wait for Me and Wreck This Heart. His later albums like Ride Out from 2014 and I Knew You When from 2017, which proved to be his final studio album, a deeply personal tribute to lost friends and mentors like Glenn Fry and Eagles manager Irving Azoff, through songs like its title track and Busload of Faith, continued to resonate with his dedicated fan base, proving his voice and his stories remained as powerful and relevant as ever. He never stopped writing, never stopped observing, never stopped being Bob Seger. And then came the inevitable farewell. His Roll Me Away, the final tour, which began in late 2018 and concluded in late 2019, was an emotional, sprawling journey across North America. It was a chance for him to say goodbye to the road, to the relentless touring life he'd known for over 5 decades, and of course, it included those deeply moving, triumphant, sold out stops back home in Michigan. Multiple nights at the beloved Pine Knob Music Theater in Clarkston, though many still fondly call it by its original name, Pine Knob, or simply The Knob. This iconic outdoor amphitheater, nestled amongst the trees of Oakland County, has seen Seeger grace its stage literally dozens of times throughout his career, often setting attendance records. He also played the new Little Caesars Arena in Detroit, marking a full circle from his days at Cobo Hall. These final shows were emotional farewells, a chance for generations of fans to bid adieu to a legend, to sing along one last time to the anthems of their lives. And for Bob, they were a profoundly personal moment to embrace the very place, the very people that had always called him home, that had sustained him through it all. Bob Seger's legacy is immense. It's ingrained in the very soul of American rock and roll. He stands proudly in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame and the Songwriters Hall of Fame, rightfully showered with accolades for his monumental contributions. He sold tens of millions of albums worldwide, achieved critical acclaim, and influenced countless musicians who sought to emulate his honesty and raw power. But beyond the gleaming awards and the stacks of platinum albums, his most profound, most enduring legacy lives in the unbreakable, emotional connection he forged with his audience. He sang about life's universal truths, about struggle, about love, about growing older, about remembering youth. With a sincerity so raw and undeniable, it felt like he was singing directly to you about your struggles, your dreams, your own moments of joy and sorrow. He made the extraordinary feel profoundly relatable and the ordinary feel majestically profound. He was and remains the voice of the everyman, a poet of the working heartland. From the gritty, determined streets of Dearborn and Detroit, where his story began and where the rhythms of industry forever echoed in his soul, to the free spirited, artistically fertile college town vibes of Ann Arbor, and then to the hollowed, triumphant stages of Cobo Hall and Pine Knob, Bob Seger's journey is intertwined with Michigan. It is Michigan. He is the very heart of the heartland, a testament to the enduring power of honest, heartfelt music and a true, unwavering son of the Wolverine State. He built his career on sincerity, hard work, and a profound understanding of the human condition, all traits deeply woven into the fabric of the state he calls home. His music will forever be the anthem of the open road, the soundtrack to a Michigan summer, and a testament to the enduring American spirit. I'm so glad that you tuned in for this episode. I hope you felt the deep connection and the authentic spirit of Bob Seger's remarkable life and career, and gained an even deeper appreciation for how profoundly a place and a people can shape an artist. Join us next time as we uncover another legendary Michigan topic, and I never really know what that's going to be until I decide to sit down and record it. All right, everyone. Thank you for stopping by. I do appreciate it. Have a good rest of your day. Bye now.